So pleased to be speaking with Neil this week. It's PayProp's birthday this year. It's their 20th year of business. And as many of you know, PayProp is the leading rental payment platform for letting agents, and Neil is the managing director of the UK. So, Neil, I've got some interesting questions for you. My first one is on looking back on the past 20 years. What key milestones or moments in PayProp's journey stand out?
Well, I've not been there for the whole 20 years, so I'm going to anecdotally speak on behalf of some of our founders. Um,
Yep.
I suppose one of the first ones is a story I was told by one of our founders, our CTO at the time, Jacco van Eden, who said when it first started, and it started in South Africa, there was no ability for an agent to reconcile the payments. It did it automatically. They had this view that agents would be brilliant and seamless and our data would be perfect. And very quickly realized that was not the case. And so all the checks and controls and procedures came in kind of after that to accommodate and deal with the market. And I think that kind of led them on this journey of
Mm.
helping the estate agents. Obviously, I'm going to pick out 2015 because that is when we joined and launched in the UK. And I think that was pivotal because we were able to take all of that learning and
Hmm.
take it and bring it and really accelerate our start into the UK. Everybody said, why has it been so successful and where has it
Yeah.
got? But a lot of that starting and the journey was already there before we launched in the UK. And what we did is we didn't learn twice. We took the
Hmm.
things that were already there. And then
Hmm.
I'm going to say that everything regarding going bigger and better, out into Canada, out into the US, every time we went into a new market, it benefited the whole company. It was never
Hmm.
seen as isolated and this is just that market and what happens there will be of no benefit to
Yep.
us. Everything fed back and all the success, failures, like every decision we make is a successful one, but all of that we learned once across
Hmm.
all of those territories and it lifted everybody up.
So it's that foundation really that's really helped cement the ongoing success in the UK and other markets. I can
Absolutely.
appreciate that. And I agree with you on with business, unless you try things, you don't know which way they're going to go. So the fact that you've had a tried and tested start massively helped with growth and making sure you got it right because you've already know the right turns and right ways to go.
Do you know what? From the top down, it has always been a mentality of that wrong decision is better than no decision at all.
Yes.
In a tech environment, and certainly within our estate agency industry, which is always evolving, we need to
Yep.
continue try and adapt. And you're not going to get all of those right. But if you
Hmm.
sit back and don't make those changes, that's when
Yep.
things pass you by and the market will
Agreed.
move on.
Agreed. 100% agreed. And I've got something I want to ask you around uh, competitors and the lasting success. And what do you think's contributed to that?
Well, the success, I'm going to bring that back down to culture.
Hmm.
So, right from the very start, the culture in the business has been that we do things the right way, we look after the employees the right way, and we live the values. Don't just write a value down, even down
Hmm.
to when people first start, they get a common sense handbook. And the common sense handbook is all the things, you're employed for who you are, not what you wear. There's no leadership where you're not open. We want to encourage. We have the values that it's trust, truth, care, and transparency is what we actually, everything that we do. And they live it. That transparency fed down from the founders. There's certain things you don't want everybody seeing everybody else's salary posted, but wherever they could, they were
Hmm.
transparent in everything, down to even the reasons why decisions were made and bringing people on that journey. And I think that's the culture. And it comes that most companies start out as a business and then decide what they can do as a give back and their CSR and things like that. We started out kind of differently. So our sister company back then was a company called Give and Gain. It was a
Yep.
completely philanthropic. It was the idea was to build a charity platform that actually gave more money to the charities and gave them an ability to earn and get donations from all around the world. And it wasn't to make money because it was set up as a foundation, but it was that initial idea and that the give and gain comes from because it is better to give than to receive. And that fed through the company even when they came into PayProp. That the idea is that we are there for our customers, we're there for our industry, and the rest, the success will come if we concentrate on that and we look after our employees first, because if we don't look after our employees, they in turn can't look after our clients as a business. And I think that really set the company up for success, because we've got people, when you say 20 years, we've got lots of people in the business who are decades plus, having been within that business more than 10 years, because people stay. Because if you are looked after and the company not only stimulates you, but gives you a way to be on that journey with them, why would you want to leave? And that kind
Yep.
of stability breeds success within a state agency. With state agencies, we know we struggle with staffing and changes and move. So the more we can stick with a company that is stable, that actually really sings to us within that property market.
Hmm. I agree, buddy. I think that's some fantastic stuff from the foundation of how it was built and from the foundation of how you build it for staff. I think
Yeah.
that it's a great way to look at it and to be so open and transparent with staff
I'd
massively
like to
makes them feel
say
a
I'd
part
like
of
to
it.
say it was me, but it wasn't. That was actually partly what attracted me to the business. It was already
Yep.
there and set up. I've just continued with it because it is such a good way to run a business. And I honestly, I've been in some very toxic businesses in my life where it's all authoritarian and you do what I say because I have the title to do so. And it's really refreshing to work into a company that actually has that whole collaborative feel. Um,
Yep.
I was at an event yesterday where this whole thing of culture was all being discussed, because it is so important.
Yeah. It is massively. It's so important. And Neil, I want to ask you on um, in the last 20 years, in response to sort of new industry technologies, how's PayProp evolved in changes and things like that?
Oh, wow. Well, there's words for what we do that weren't even there when we started doing it. The key buzzword
It's
is a
so
block.
true.
Yeah, the key buzzword at the moment for everybody is blockchain. In essence, what PayProp set up with its private communication within the banking that had never been seen before was a private blockchain that we'd set up. We just didn't have a word for it back then. We were just facilitating a need that the industry had to be able to have these payments go. And then since then, the evolution of the way people can take payments, the growth of direct debits and the other kind of payments, we've had to build those in. But I would say the biggest change that we've had to develop over the last 20 years is the demand for now.
Hmm.
As a whole society, our need for things to be instantaneous, our level of patience has gone down to zero. You'll see it. People pull up at a junction and they're waiting 10 seconds for traffic to be like, oh, why can I not just pull out when I need? Our level of patience because of this, the need for now, and that's passed through in all of ours. Tenants pay their money. They want to know you've received it instantaneously. If they don't get it back, why not? What is wrong with you? Why are you not letting me know? Because we get used to that consumption model. And so PayProp has had to change that. So we've gone from doing one payment a day to now doing multiple payments throughout the day, and being able
Hmm.
to people transact and deal with that communication far quicker, because
Yep.
that's the need of our clients. And so we have to adapt. I would say the other thing that we've really had to adapt on, and keeping it behind the scenes, is security. And that is something which we're seeing going like that. I mean, cybersecurity is on the rise like never before. And
Hmm.
unfortunately, the property sector, big target. A caveat, not that we're full of criminals. It's just the fact that we are appetizing to criminals because of the
Yes.
amount of transactions and the level of the money that we actually deal with.
Yep.
So because of that, we've had to really step up what we do to help our customers keep their customers' money secure. And again, I don't see that letting up. With the advent
No.
of AI, one of the first people using it is still the criminal element. They latch onto any new technology and use it to their benefit, and you've got to continually try and stay ahead of that.
Yep. So speed and security, and
Yeah.
I couldn't agree more with the security aspect, because it is, unfortunately, it is a target, and it's just nothing. There's not nothing you can do about it other than to prepare and make sure that you've put the precautions in place.
You don't want to be the person that has to go and say to a client of yours or a tenant of yours that that money has been lost
Yes.
because of something that we have done. You know, a weak point in our system allowed somebody to con you out of your rent or con you out of your money or out of your sale deposit. I mean, that is such a bad conversation to have. You just want to make sure you've got the procedures and the right security in place that you don't have to have that difficult conversation.
Brilliant. And I couldn't agree more. My next question I've got is on customer success stories. And is there one highlight
One
that you can
highlight.
think of?
You're
One.
gonna
Give me
kill
one.
me here, Lee. One. I can't. I can't.
Okay. Give me more. Give me some that stand out then.
Okay, so it could be from clients that we've got on case studies that literally coming onto the
Yep.
platform saw their arrears reduced by 60K within their first week. I've got people who came to us unsure of how they were going to raise their fees because they'd entered the market in a race to the bottom first and had a management fee of 6%. Fast forward 3 or 4 years, they're now at market rates, if not higher than, charging 12% plus VAT without having lost landlords and still managing to grow over that period. We've got people who have been able to free up members of staff to really go out and win business where they felt they were just adding admin. You know, for each person, and I've got one who we've got a testimonial video who spends more time at the allotment. It's for each person, it's unique for them. What we do and the really thing our customer success stories, and we ask them what they've done with it, is the time that we've given them.
Yep.
You know, it's the one thing, no matter how much money you've got, you can't buy more time, but that money can give you access to that finite resource you've got. And that's what PayProp, putting it in, that's its value proposition. What we then do, and the reason we've got so many stories is because what a client chooses to do with that, how they get that value, how they allow that to enrich their lives, their employees, or their business. It's really fascinating to find out each different business approaches that.
Mhm. Now I've asked you on customer success. I'm going to ask you on key partnerships or collaborations that have contributed to the growth and success. Now, I don't expect you to give me one, but would you be able to do the same sort of thing and share that with me as well?
Yeah, do you know, I think the big thing that is a difficulty in the UK that we haven't had in South Africa is we don't have a regulator. We don't have a barrier to market. So I think one of the things that really contributed to our success is that we went out and spent a lot of time with those self-regulating industry bodies. And there's a whole heap of them, you know, they all run the CMP providers, they've all got their own, the redress schemes, there's the property marks and the RICSs of the world. We went out to evidence them how our system can help them with their robust controls, audit, and security because they are all about wanting to raise the standards in our industry. And what we went out and with those partnerships is show them how we can be another way that they can enhance that for their
Mhm.
members, the associations. And I think that was really key. And it comes back to those original visions and values: truth, care, and transparency.
Yep.
We took that out to those member bodies because that resonates with a lot of what they want within the industry. But we found it even further when we started speaking to trading standards. We do a lot of lobbying with the government, and all of those visions and values, however much we think they may not get it right, and I'm not advocating that the government and the trading standards and everything, that what they are doing is not causing some unintended consequences at times within the industry. But the underlying reason for it is that they want everything to be transparent. They want us to be able to show that we are caring for everybody in their journey. And they want to know that the information that is given to anybody is correct. So that truth, care, and transparency that we do is the underlying value for all of these bodies within the industry. They don't always get it right. We don't always get it right. But the idea is that we collaborate together and we'll end up with a better property industry at the end of it. I sometimes
Yes.
think, as an industry, one of my biggest things I've noticed within the UK compared to some of the other territories that we work in is we are too terribly British. We complain within our group but we're very poor at getting our voice heard further outside. And I'll say that from your own letting agent today, landlord today. There are so many voices on there that will comment on all these
Yep.
articles, but ask them to contribute to something that's going out that could actually influence or change the industry, and you can't get pen to paper, so to speak. So
Yep.
we're really good within our own thing saying, woe is me, but we're really bad about making sure those positive messages actually get out the industry on how we've raised the bar over the last
Hmm.
10, 15, 20 years.
Yeah. And I think so. I've been, was it 14 years I've been in the property industry now. And I can say from 14 years ago to now that the bar has definitely risen in terms of standards and um the way that it operates.
The frustrating issue is that the majority have not only raised the bar, but a
Hmm.
far greater number of them actually aim
Yes.
to exceed that bar.
Yes.
Unfortunately, we do have a lot of detractors, or a small number of detractors, that no matter how much we've raised the bar, they've decided they're going to resist and they're going to stay with those substandard policies, procedures, and properties. And
Yes.
that's the thing that we really need to get to the nub of.
Yep.
Because otherwise, everything that we're doing to raise it, mob mentality, will brought down to the lowest common denominator that people hear about. And so when you look on the trust metric, estate agents are still quite low. And actually, I think some estate agents are so trusted by their clients that that's not a true reflection, but that's a
Hmm.
reflection that the industry is given within the wider
Yes.
media and government because of these detractors, these
Yes.
operators that are completely ignoring the whole
Yep.
movement of the industry to provide a better service.
Yep. It's that classic, the few spoil it for the many.
Yeah. And
And
it really is the many. I mean, I go to so many events and things and speak to estate agents, and the journey that they've been on, the everything, the training providers that are out there that are doing stuff, the larger networks that providing all these services and checks and procedures for everything. I mean, tenants and landlords have never been had such access to this service. But as you say, it's those few that
yep,
ruin it for what is an industry is really moving on in leaps and bounds.
it is massively. And with everything you've said, Neil, what advice would you give to, say, an aspiring entrepreneur or someone who wants to be a prop tech innovator starting out today, based on the 20 years of experience?
So the first thing I would say is go out and listen to estate agents. Yeah, don't be going, as somebody who was an estate agent, the worst thing I hated is somebody coming and telling me that they're going to change the way my world operated. Because that's not what I want.
No.
That's not what I want from a project. I want you to enhance what I do, but not change the way that I do it. So as a prop tech person, go out and make sure that what you do is right for the industry in, and not just right now or a fixed problem that maybe I've experienced by those few. As we've said, the few can ruin it for the many. You need to go out and make sure, test your product out, that it's got mass ability to able to go out and improve it for lots of people. And then the
Hmm.
other thing as a prop tech, don't go in and set yourself up as an island. The
Yep.
more you collaborate, the more you go out and make yourself, and it doesn't, it can seem scary to open yourself up to that. But actually, the rest of the prop tech industry, we don't bite. Nobody comes in the morning and says, I want to make somebody else's business not be a success within this industry. That is not how people wake up. We're there to elevate each other. And if there's a really good product, you'll find a lot of really good people within the industry that will want to lift you up. But you've got to be willing to go out there and have those conversations.
Couldn't agree more with Neil. And I think that sometimes when you tell someone who does a job how to do a job, when you don't do the job, I feel like it creates a lot of tension between you trying to help someone enhance what they do, because they'd look at it as if to say, you don't do it every day. So listen
Yeah.
to what I do every day and then tell me how what you're doing can help me because of you've listened to me,
I
not
mean,
just turned up and told me.
I've been out for so many years. I can tell somebody I did the job. I
Yep,
can't tell somebody I do the job. And if I don't
exactly.
do the job, then you've got to get that person's collaboration and ask them what they're
Exactly.
experiencing. Because in the same way we've talked about how the prop tech and now PayProp's moved on, and we've talked about the property has moved on, well, every agency is going to have that same situation. So unless you go in and ask them what they're actually dealing with. The other thing from an estate agent that I would say is you need to know what you're looking for. Estate agents, we get bombarded, and that has never changed. If anything, that's gone worse than what I experienced because there's so many more options out there. And sometimes we can rely on the individual telling us about their product as to what it might do for our business. And I'm going to say this as somebody who's like that. We may be a little bit biased
Hmm.
because we do think our product is the best. But as a business, the only person that can assess if that's right for the business is the agent themselves.
Yes.
And sometimes them knowing the outcome of what they want to do with their business, if we were to give you back that time is great. Do you know what you want to achieve with that time? Because if I give it back and you do nothing, then the value of my product is hugely diminished. So what is
Yep.
it you want to achieve? And then see if that product can help you get there. Rather than, I really like what this person's selling me. They're really excited about it. I think that might be good for our business. Bring it in. Ooh, how do I make this work for our business? It's the wrong way round. And I've seen
Yep.
people end up with lots of prop tech products, 9, 10 things that they feel they've enhanced their world, but actually it hasn't really changed how they operate or how they actually integrate those because it wasn't the need for that business at the time.
I think that's some great advice there, Neil. And I'm very excited for some of the questions I've got lined up here, which is on regulation,
Oh,
vision, goals, and technology trends. So my first one is as PayProp operates in South Africa, where agents are regulated, how
hmm.
can the company put that experience to work to help agents if England uh, become regulated in the future by, say, a Labour government?
Hmm. Well, look, we could say that, and it doesn't matter whether it's a Labour or a Conservative government.
Yep.
But if they become regulated, well, the first thing I want to say is regulation does not cure all ills.
Hmm.
Yeah, it is not the be all and end all and the silver bullet that will still turn around the industry. As somebody who has seen on the South African side the EAAB and now what is the Property Practitioners Act, that change are going up. They are still a government body set up to regulate an industry. And if you look at all of the problems that we've seen with your Ofcom, with your FCAs, everywhere is strained at the moment. Everywhere's got it.
Hmm.
So just by putting in a regulator, he's not going to be, woo, it all changes. It will give us some structure, but
Yes.
that structure will need guidance from the industry. That regulator who puts things in will need help from the industry in how it makes sure that they're effective. And that comes
Hmm.
back to this, let's not tuck behind closed doors. What we need to do if regulation comes in is we need to realize that the best people to steer that and make sure it's right for the industry is the industry itself.
Yes.
And that's the only way that you actually make it. Let's not have it as being something that is done to us. Let's have it as done that is something with our input and is developed for us. And we only do that
Yes.
by engaging in the process.
And it's that classic enhance what we're doing, not tell us what we're doing,
Yeah.
because we do it. And I think that that's a great way to answer the question. I want to ask you on the visions and goals after the merger with Reapit, and will anything change?
No, why would it? Part of the reason for this synergy, and it's going to be no shocker, that the visions and values and the management and everything else that was attractive to our parent company, AKKR, for Reapit were the same things that attracted them. The reason that they are putting these two companies together is because of that synergy. Trust is
Hmm.
at the heart of everything that Reapit does. It's exactly the same, and that's why we're going to find the cultures will be a little bit different because they are so much more advanced in their journey than us.
Hmm.
They are larger than we are. But actually, we can help remind them of some of those roots of that journey because they came on the same founder led everything being about caring for the customer journey start. As you say, it might not be the experience that everybody's had, but nobody has everything with a company the same experience, but their overriding visions and values are exactly the same. And that's the reason I'm really excited and think this is going to be a great merger of two brands together, because the more and more I sit within the companies and see, the more synergies they are in the way that we
Hmm.
do things and approach, but we can enhance each other. You know, some of the processes and procedures and the way that they've got it advanced, we can help. Some of our agility being smaller and some things that we've adapted, we can help bring all of that together. And actually, I think the person who benefits will be the employees at the company, because the opportunity that they have to influence this has never been greater. And then by default, as we already talked about, is if our employees benefit, then ultimately our customers benefit.
Yep.
And that's where I think this is, watch this space. I think it is exciting when we come together what we're going to be able to do.
I agree. I think it's massively exciting, and I think it's something that's great for the industry. And I'm really pleased to see how it all happens.
Yeah.
So I've got a question on technology and trends, and what new technology and trends will have the greatest impact on the property landscape, and how is PayProp preparing for them?
Okay, so where do we go? So let's talk about AI. It's the buzzword of everybody, and we've
Yep,
seen where it's come on. My son took great pleasure in showing me the new app that's in beta at the moment, which is the text to video Sora, and showing how much, I don't know if you saw it a year ago, Will Smith eating spaghetti done by AI,
yep,
absolutely the worst generated image, looked like some kind of alien eating spaghetti compared to what it can actually do now. I think that technological advancement is something that we have not been the best within the property industry at embracing. There has always been this that we are more measured, which is not a bad thing. But that adoption, I think we are need to get quicker at. And so we're already seeing a lot of people putting AI into the ability to do AI descriptions, the ability to then be able to refine those. And that's something at Repit that I know they're doing. I think AI will be a long way before it comes into the banking community, because I
I agree.
don't think we want something there. Um, but there are
Why not, Neil? Why
already
not?
but there are already machine learning and AI programs that we could use to enhance security. So it's not
Yep.
something that our clients will necessarily see at a front end, but it is certainly something that we can adapt and use to give them that extra layer of security on their money movement. And that's where I think for PayProp, our advancement is going to be keeping abreast of changes. Open banking is set to expand. What does that mean for us? How can we use that to enhance our customers? Again, becomes a buzzword and people are, oh, what can you use it for? We're more about looking at the practicalities. What can we put in and will it benefit the customer? With the security element, I think the thing is that if there is more security that we can bolster on, you would always do that. And that's
Mhm.
our approach to that. And we'll always be looking to advance that. If you're an agent sat there, then I think AI is the thing that is there. But again, what does it mean for you? It's great to do text to video, but what are you going to use it for? Are
Mhm.
you going to use it for the replacement of drone images, which some people are already starting to see an advancement in it? You can do text to picture. What are you doing that for? Is that to help you with your marketing and to give you more access to brand? You can use AI to write things and write descriptions, but who looks over it? Who's the human being? Because they're
Yes.
not infallible. There's the big
No.
story about the lawyer who decided to go and quote case law, use an AI generator, and actually the AI made up the cases and got threw out and struck off the New York bar. So
Yep.
we need to be careful with these things, but also we need to look at how we're changing. We're gonna over the next, if we take the next 20 years ahead, then our whole model of both our landlord and what they've come up with and our tenant and what they're used to is going to be as different as it is going back 20 years. You know, when I go back and tell my children that, you know, we didn't have a mobile phone and I used to give my dad 3 rings to let him know I was on my way back from a night out, it seems bizarre. Yeah.
Yep,
I used to have to walk down to a shop and rent a movie and watch it that night and take it back otherwise I got charged. It's alien to them. But if we
yep,
go 20 years forward, some of the things that we do now within the property industry are going to be alien to those tenants then. What we
yep.
need to just make sure is that we constantly keep track and we keep evolving as this gathers speed and pace.
Neil, thank you so much for answering all my questions,
It's a
taking the
pleasure as
time out,
always.
and I really, really appreciate it.
No problem. Look forward to the next time, Lee.
Thanks a lot, Neil.